Chicago, baby. I just saw y'all. What did I tell y'all? This is what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Get rid of the illegals.
Illinois is turning purple. We're going to turn red.
Ooh, Chicago residents tearing into Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Ooh. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to. How are you guys all doing? Welcome to the channel. I am Ty Smith. You're watching my channel, Model Renaissance Man. I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to view my content. Make sure that if you are following me, that you're following me on the platforms you see above and the ones below. And hitting this like button right here is how my content can consistently be recommended to you, ladies and gentlemen. And if and when you do subscribe, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and also that bell notification right there. The bell notification just simply means when I post a video, in theory, you should be alerted whenever I do post a video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to get into this because I told y'all, for some of you that watch me do some things live, I told you guys how we had an event up here by Wambasi. Big, huge turnout. I thank all you guys for their all being there. I told y'all, as long as y'all were there, I shook hands, talked to you guys and all that. I still appreciate you guys being there. The ones who were telling me about Brandon Johnson and, then putting me on that so-called wall of shame list. I'm glad y'all looked all past that because I told you guys, although we didn't do what a lot of people thought they were going to do, I told y'all, I was honest with you guys. I think give us around 2020, give us around 2030 and see how much Chicago has changed. But guys, I told y'all, folks are tired of the nonsense. Folks are seeing what I'm saying and they are waking up to all this bull crap that they were under, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm so glad about it. What am I talking about? Chicago exploded on Mayor Brandon Johnson because of the lies he told. And I told people this over the weekend. And look at the results of this. People are waking up. They're spewing it back in his face. And I hope he's getting ready to feel the heat that Chi-Town is going to be bringing. Check it out.
Brandon Johnson have ignored every plea, call, cry. You're going to protect the undocumented while you're going to allow for the citizens in Chicago to suffer.
You ain't going to abide by what the president of the United States said. Everybody know better than that. Loser, get rid of the illegals.
Illinois is turning purple. We're going to turn red.
Ooh, Chicago residents tearing into Mayor Brandon Johnson at a heated city council meeting last week, accusing the mayor of prioritizing the needs of illegal immigrants over U.S. citizens in Chicago. P.O. Hardiman, Executive Director of Violence Interrupters, joins us now. It doesn't seem to be a popular guy, T.O., with many constituents. Who exactly does he represent these days?
Right now, Mayor Brandon Johnson, he represents himself and his party because a lot of the people in Chicago are frustrated with his performance so far as a mayor, especially when it comes down to the migrant issue here in Chicago.
So what exactly is it that the constituents are upset about?
Well, African-American people have been deprived of resources for decades in Chicago. If you travel to the south and west side of Chicago, you know you can count thousands of abandoned buildings, a lot of people living in poverty, and people are just upset because there appears to be a priority for the migrants compared to prioritizing some of the issues of single African-American women that have been living like in homeless situations. We had over 60,000 homeless people living in Chicago before the migrants came to Chicago. And the homeless people here were never a priority until the migrants came to Chicago, and they're still not a priority even to this date. That's the reason why a lot of African-American people are upset. Hispanic people voted for Donald Trump as well in Chicago because some Hispanic people are upset. And people need to understand this. What Donald Trump is doing here, what he's saying is that if you come over here legally, it's okay, but do not come to our country illegally. So I don't know why people have a problem with that, to be honest with you.
Not just Hispanic people in Chicago, but all along those counties along the border in the southern part of Texas that have been blue for so long, they went red in this election. So the president-elect ran on and was elected on a platform to start deporting a lot of these illegal immigrants, beginning with obvious criminals and the trendy Aragua gang. But the leadership there in Chicago and the state of Illinois is saying, we're going to fight them every step of the way. Listen here.
To anyone who intends to come take away the freedom and opportunity and dignity of Illinoisans, I would remind you that a happy warrior is still a warrior. You come for my people, you come through me.
This is a city that will remain a welcoming city. We're going to stand up, we're going to protect undocumented individuals.
You know, a lot of people are saying that Kamala Harris lost because the Democratic Party is out of touch with what its constituents really wants. But what do you think of what the officials are saying to you?
Yeah, what people in America should understand that over 76 million people voted for Donald Trump. Also, Trump painted a very clear narrative that the Democrats have failed in the area of the economy, the conflict in the Middle East, the migrant issue, and so many other issues out there. The perceptions Democrats have truly failed. I wish the leaders in Illinois and Chicago would fight the same way for this high unemployment rate for African-American young men between the ages of 16 and 25, which is staggering. It's around 85%. You can check those numbers out. Why won't we fight to make sure these young guys are employed here in Chicago? And we have issues with gun violence all over, running rampant here in Chicago. So let's step up to the plate and be just as diligent in our efforts to kind of reverse this tide of gun violence with this illegal gun trade in Chicago as well.
So here's the dilemma with the illegal migrants. The Biden administration let about 9 million of them across the border. A good percentage of those has now taken up residence in the United States as they await asylum hearings or other legal proceedings. You can't just leave them to their own devices or they'll be starving in the streets. You've got to do something to take care of them. But at the same time, you got to look after the community that pays taxes to you and people who have been here, for generations. But the real trick here is, how do you achieve the balance between those two things, to you?
It's hard to achieve a balance because it's inhumane for some of the migrants to be in Chicago. When they first arrived here, you had babies sitting on the streets and their parents begging for money on the street corners out of the babies had to sit out on the streets almost like 18 hours a day. And I'm not making this up. You can ride around and see what I'm talking about. The conditions, cramming people up in these places here, they call them these little migrant shelters, whatever the case may be, totally inhumane. It's hard to balance because right now Chicago's facing a budget deficit, and the mayor talked about not raising property taxes, and he had to backstep a little bit recently because the city council decided not to allow him to raise property taxes. But during his campaign, he said he would never raise property taxes. So the migrant crisis has caused a lot of ripple effects here in Chicago and across our state. So it's hard to balance because we have to get our act together in our city first before how could you have a sanctuary city and you're not prepared to provide adequate sanctuary in the first place? The reason a lot of people voted for Trump as well, because millions of Americans are tired of these perfect candidates. Trump is what you call the not so perfect candidate, and he was able to identify with people from all walks of life. That's the reason Trump became the president here of the United States of America, even though he had a whole lot of issues in his background as well. People just were tired. They're tired of people just telling them anything, and that's what's going on in Chicago right now. People are being bamboozled with the migrant crisis.
People decided that they really like the Trump policies, and we'll be watching closely to see how all of this is addressed. T.O. Hardiman, great to catch up with you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
See what I'm saying? Do y'all see what I'm saying? 100% brought the freaking heat, and I love it, love it, love it. People are waking up. People are done with the nonsense. People are saying that it has nothing to do with color. And man, hey, I told y'all, the ones that came, I was like, man, I hated you. When you first started coming up here about 4 years ago, I didn't believe you. I was trying to turn people against you, and you don't know who I am, but I just asked you for your forgiveness, man, because you were absolutely right. You did have our back. You was doing nothing more than looking out for me. They was telling me how, man, I love your father analogies, because they was like me as being a lot of men, black men, who came out and was personally telling me how those father analogies that I give helped them so much, because they understood as a father that, like they said, they was like, I was like the kid, Ty, that you talked about that didn't agree with you. I was the kid that was mad because of what you were saying to me. But then when I see what's going on, I seen that you had our interest at best, and that's all you were doing. And now we been played, man. We all been done wrong, man. And so they thank me for that. So Kim Fox, Brandon Johnson, y'all have made me more popular there by trying to put me on the wall of shame, because all y'all did was drew people interest on why they want to do this to him. Let's see what this brother is doing that's making them mad at him and trying to say this. And yeah, y'all got exposed for it. Brandon Johnson, I'd be willing to talk to you at any time, face to face, should you want to do that. It's not going to happen, though. We all know why. Anyway, Chicago. Good job, baby. Keep it up. Keep it going, because I'm telling y'all, I'm thinking 2030 might see a huge change around that time. I don't know. Maybe, come 2028. For the new vote. I don't know. Maybe Cook County can flip, because Illinois was red as heck. Let me know what y'all think of this by putting it in the comment section after this video, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, if you would like to see the next video that I'm going to be doing before you do with that cloud right there, you know, that cloud, before y'all do what's in that cloud right there, yeah. The next video that I'm going to be doing in chronological order most likely is going to be up here. Things that I do as a variety on the channel will be here. I am Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man, hoping and praying that every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing. And most of all, I pray every last one of you guys are in great health mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.